What's going on, YouTube? My friend calls me to take a look at his car the other day. I hook my code reader up and I get about 15 codes. One that keeps popping up is a cylinder 6 misfire, so I'm gonna start there. It's running rough. The first thing you're gonna do is take off the air intake hose clamp to the plenum box. Then you can take the two 10mm bolts off and hold the plenum on. After those two bolts are removed, there's one more hose that connects to the throttle body and a few vacuum lines that just slide right off. Then you're going to take a 10mm socket and take off the number 6 coil pack way back there in the back. That was a little bit tricky to get to on these engines because the way the firewall is set. You don't have a lot of height between the top of the engine and the bottom of the firewall there. So if you noticed, I'm using two 3-inch extensions, and the reason I'm doing that is as you take the spark plug out, the spark plug, when it's attached to the socket, actually makes the whole assembly a little bit longer. So when you use two 3-inch extensions, you can just take one extension off, because as you're fixing to see, it won't come out that way because it hits the firewall. So then I just take one extension off and it comes out first try. So anytime you're doing diagnostic work, as soon as you take a spark plug out, I would compare it to the spark plugs against the chart. The chart is really going to help you out to figure out problems that you might not think of without it. I was having misfire. I knew my engine was running rough. I knew I had a dead cylinder, and my spark plug was black, which really led toward the carbon deposits one. That generally happens when you have a rich mixture or a cylinder misfire. The spark plug seemed like it was in good shape other than it was black, so I decided to test the two coil packs. On the left here, I have a good one from a cylinder that I know I'm not having any problems out of, and then on the right is the one from the number 6. So now what I'm going to do is test for continuity between the 3 prongs on top of the coil pack to the brass colored piece of metal. So this is the one from the number 2 spark plug, and as you see, when I get to that 3rd prong, it flashes real quick and it also beeps at me, which lets me know that I have continuity between the two. Now on this one from the number 6, when I get to that 3rd prong, I don't read any continuity, which lets me know it's open. Since that one's different and I imagine I'm having problems anyway, I assume it's bad and go ahead and swap it out for a good one. So now I'm putting the good one back on, and by the way, I did the ohms test on that as well, and between the 3rd prong in that position and the brass color piece, it should have continuity. So I decided to go ahead and swap out all 6 spark plugs since it seems to be having problems anyway. And as I take them out, I noticed they all have a similar problem. There's oil all over them. Initially, I was kind of worried that it was a valve guide or a piston ring, because as you can see, this thing is covered in oil. But a closer inspection let me know that the valve cover between the spark plug hole and the valve cover there has a pretty moderate oil leak. Nothing terrible, but as I took the spark plug sockets out, it coated all the threads in oil. So it seemed a little bit worse than it was. And as you can see, that piston is bone dry down there, so I wasn't too worried. So what I wound up doing is I got a little bit creative with some RTV, and I just put silicone all over it to stop that leak from happening. And I did wind up doing this to all 6 cylinders. And then I cranked the car up, and it cranks up. So it cranks up first try. Plug the code reader back in. No codes. I do love my code reader, but there are times when it can really put you into a bind, because as I said earlier, it gave me 12 different codes the first time. I had a throttle position sensor code that popped up. I had a EGR sensor that popped up, and a mass airflow sensor, and then one of the other ones was the cylinder 6 misfire. So you do need to be able to troubleshoot for yourself other than letting the computer to do all your diagnostics for you, because your computer will definitely lie to you sometimes. So anybody that's going to get in the mechanic field, the maintenance field, try to understand how a system works before you just start swapping parts out, because you may be wasting money and time swapping parts out that aren't bad in the first place. So anyways, that's how to change a coil pack on a GMC Envoy, and hope that helps y'all out if you're having problems. Be sure to hit the like button or leave a comment below.